Welcome to the Career Changemaker podcast, where we focus on owning your career journey and making impact through the work that you do. Whether you're looking to pivot, transition into leadership, or reimagine your career completely, this podcast is for you. We'll unpack career development strategies, leadership insights, and the mindset shifts needed to thrive in your career. Being a career changemaker means taking control and shaping your professional path with intention. I'm your host, lawyer turned career and leadership development specialist, Janine. So if you're ready for candid conversations that are going to help you grow, keep listening. Hello, and welcome to the show. Welcome to episode 300 of the Career Changemaker podcast. I am so excited for you to hear this episode because it's a little different. We recorded it in front of a live audience in London as we marked this amazing milestone of reaching 300 episodes. And I was joined by two incredible guests as we talked about navigating career growth in uncertain times. And the conversation was fantastic. There are so many gems that are dropped that I think you're going to absolutely love. So without further ado, let's dive into the conversation. Hello, everyone. Excited to see you all here. Lauren and I, my assistant over there, say hi, Lauren.
Hi.
We decided about a month and a half ago that we wanted to do this to mark the milestone of hitting 300 episodes. And I was kind of on the fence and Lauren was like, no, let's do it. And so to see it all come together makes me very, very happy. And I do want to say thank you to Allbright Everywoman who are hosting us today. Thank you to Alice for helping us to be able to use this space. It's lovely. I like being here and I'm excited about our conversation. So we are going to be diving into the topic and navigating career growth in uncertain times, which I think is very fitting for the time and space that we're currently living in. I'm not diving into this topic alone today. I have two incredible guests. I have Alice with me, I have Hannah with me, and we're going to be digging into their individual journeys because they're both incredible and have had amazing career journeys to date. And also our hope is that you come away with some key tangible takeaways that you can apply to your journeys as you navigate your growth and development. Welcome to the show, ladies. I'm so excited that you are here. Before we dive into all the juiciness, please can you introduce yourself and tell the audience a bit about you? So we want to start with Hannah and then Alice.
Excellent. Thank you. So good evening, everyone. Good evening. Right, we have a live audience, right? So my name is Hannah Awonuga. I'm the founder and CEO of the Inclusive Foundations Program. That is an organization set up to support high growth organizations, build cultures where people thrive and not just survive. And I have a 20-year corporate career. So I started my career in financial services when I was 16 years old. And I started as a cashier and I left as a global director. After that, I moved over to Knight Frank, where I was the group head of diversity, equity and inclusion. And just this year, I have made the jump to entrepreneurship, the trenches. And so I'm really, really delighted to be with you today. And there's so much more to me. I'm a non-exec director for a number of organizations, Land Aid, which is to support youth homelessness, and also Progress Together, which is around supporting social mobility within financial services. I have a community of 80,000 people on LinkedIn and use my voice to focus on inclusion, culture transformation, and engagement.
Thank you, Hannah. There's so much I want to dig into in terms of your journey. Alice?
I actually wish that you'd asked me to introduce myself first. That's quite difficult to follow. I'm Alice Olins. I'm the global head of learning and content here at Allbright Everywoman, literally here in this room, or in this house. I also have a 20-plus year, career, a bit more creative than Hannah's. So I started as a lowly work experience on Times 2, the features kind of part of the Times newspaper. And worked my way up to the features editor there, and then moved over to Marie Claire and InStyle. So I had like a big career in journalism, thought that was, my career done, absolutely loved it. And then I actually had a kind of big tragedy happened within my family, which might come up today, might not, and kind of completely stepped away from work, just wasn't interested in working at all for a year, and then accidentally found myself writing a book with an old colleague about career change. And then from that, again, slightly accidentally, ended up setting up a business, which I ran for nearly 10 years, called the Step Up Club. And then about 2 years ago, I started to get some itchings that maybe there was more out there, that I didn't necessarily want to be running my own business. It had been amazing. And so I applied for a job on LinkedIn. It was just like there, and I just thought, might as well go for it. And here I am now, a year and a half later, at Allbright Everywoman.
Amazing. So do you see why I like hosting a podcast? Because I get to speak to incredible women like this. How else would I get to reach out to people and say, can I have a conversation? That's why I like hosting a podcast. So each of you share that you've had different journeys, but you've moved around a lot in your careers. So I'd love to hear a little bit more around the decision-making process, because I think often when people are considering making a career change, they hesitate, they're not sure, they stay stuck for a very long time. But I think it would be useful to hear, like, how do you weigh up whether you go, whether you stay, or where you go, how you go? So I know there's been multiple transitions, but if you think about either a recent one or one of the biggest ones you've made, how do you decide?
Am I taking that one?
Both of you can go.
I think it can be, I mean, that's such a big question. I don't think you can have a single answer to that. I think circumstance sometimes can be the reason for change. I trained as a career coach and ran a women's professional development business for a long time. So I've had the privilege of having a lot of conversations with women about their career and supporting them through their career. And what I definitely believe to be true, without wanting to generalize, and I think people actually in general can get stuck. And I think learning to be able to try and experiment, and actually Hannah and I were saying earlier that I think we're lucky to be working at a time where careers are much more fluid than they've ever been. I think we have the privilege of being able to test, to maybe move departments, to craft your role in a way that feels kind of right for you. And I don't think we need to be stuck in roles that don't suit. And that doesn't mean, and I don't say that in a kind of glib way where it's really easy to make change. It isn't easy to make change. There's always so much that's standing in our way, in our minds, kind of structures that are working against us. The simple art of finding a job is, much harder than it sounds. But I think the first step is being able to advocate for yourself, and also have the self-awareness that you deserve a change. You deserve to be doing what, what suits you and what's going to kind of enrich you and help you to fulfill your potential. So I think actually starting with self and realizing that you are separated from the business that you work for. I mean, there was nothing better when I was a journalist than picking up the phone to a PR and saying it's Alice at the Times, because people would just fall over themselves to do whatever to get into the paper. So it was quite a rude awakening to then just be Alice. And I could talk about identity and stuff like that. But actually, and I know Hannah's got a lot to say on this as well, but being able to be your own brand wherever you are, whether that's at the most junior level, but really taking ownership, I think gives you the freedom to be able to make choices, respond to circumstance, and kind of have that fluidity within your career.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think quite early on, I recognized that I needed to do more of what I loved to do. And so I often think that we focus on our development areas. We think, oh, we're not good at this. We're going to try and work on this part. And I just didn't do that. I recognized more and more about what I'm good at. What do people say I'm good at? What do I love to do? And then leant into my strengths. And so as I leaned into my strengths, I started to do more of what I was good at. And then I grew that capability. And so I then ended up in corporate. I ended up in colleague engagement, because I remember, and not now, because obviously now I need clients, but early on in my career, I didn't want to deal with clients. That was not for me. I wanted to deal with people. I loved developing people. I love supporting people. And so I went and searched for more of that type of thing. And so I think the decision-making process is, what are you good at? What do people say you're good at? And how do you lean more into that? Because actually what you then do is you build a brand based on your excellence. And so that was one of the big things for me. The biggest transition I ever made is my decision to leave Barclays. And I cried ugly girl cry. And it was because I was a director, I was well respected, I was loved, I really enjoyed the work that I was doing. And so no one really knew why I was leaving. And I remember speaking to the group HR director, and he was just like, if you don't like it, come back, because nobody knows why you're leaving in the first place. But I knew I was ready for a head of DEI role. But I knew that I wasn't ready for a Barclays head of DEI role. 100,000 staff, global organization. I wasn't ready for that, but I knew I was ready to come out and build. And so I then decided that actually, okay, although I love what I'm doing, I'm the CEO of Hannah PLC. I was the CEO of my career. I treated my career like a business. And so for me, it was about making a decision for the longer term. And so I then decided that, okay, I'm going to leave this, and I was comfortable and happy, but I'm going to go out. And the opportunity came to me. There was no head of DEI in the business. They'd never had that role. So it was a new role to build a team in a smaller organization to really kind of build from the ground. And so that then became more appealing than staying in this big organization and being a director. And so, I would just say sometimes you can be comfortable where you are, but if you don't put yourself on the stretch, if you don't start seeking out opportunities to grow, then actually you just get comfortable. And so that was a big career decision that I had to make. And I remember a mentor saying to me, go when it's easiest to stay and stay when it's easiest to go.
Ooh, I love that.
Right? Because when it's easy to stay, you're comfortable, but that's when you should probably go. You go on a high. Like I was at Barclays today, and I can go back to Barclays whenever I want. I can ask them for things. We can build relationships because I was able to leave on a high. And so I would just offer that to anybody, that sometimes it's go when it's easiest to stay, and then stay when it feels harder. You want to jump ship.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you want to jump ship, you jump for the wrong reasons, and then you don't land in the place where you want to land.
Yeah, I think that's so important. It's so important to take ownership of your journey. And I think when you're making decisions, thinking short term, but also long term. So the fact that you saying, I could stay here, but for what I'm looking for, it doesn't make sense to stay here.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we look at the opportunity right in front of us, but we're not necessarily thinking about the bigger picture and what actually makes sense for us now. But maybe you're taking a bridge opportunity. And I say that to clients all the time. You might say, I want to make a move, but I can't see how I'm going to get all the way over there. Sometimes you need to take a bridge opportunity. So you can build the skills, you can get the exposure, you can get the knowledge that you need to ultimately end up where you want to go.
Absolutely.
I think sometimes when people listen to this kind of advice, it's like, yeah, but that feels hard. How am I going to go about actually doing that? And I think in the landscape that we're in right now, for a lot of people, there's a bit of negativity or feeling like there aren't opportunities out there, or this isn't a good time to move. So how would you say you go about staying optimistic in a time that we're in, like now?
I think something maybe that is conditioned out of us, I think from school actually, is to think ahead and actually spend time being strategic about what we want to do, where we want to go. So I think naturally in this kind of crazy, complex working world that we are all existing in, and beyond the working world, we are attacked constantly with information, with, digitally, in person. It's very kind of overstimulating to work and be in the world that we're in. And actually, often we just need to kind of decompress, and, you'll go and doom scroll or do something like that. And something that I often talk I don't really have actually coaching clients anymore particularly, but talk about with members here and kind of in friends and colleagues, is just the simple act of carving out time to think about your career. And often when I was in coaching sessions, we would literally get someone's diary out and be like, okay, which part of the week is generally quiet? It's generally on a Friday, 2 till 3. Let's put a meeting in with yourself and commit. And you can have flex, like sometimes you may have to take a client meeting at 2:00 on a Friday, and that's fine. But I think actually being intentional, that's such an overused word, but it feels like big things in your career do feel out of reach. But I'm a strong believer in it is about small, consistent habits and small, consistent steps towards change. And I think you can do that by carving out this meeting with yourself. And what I always say about holding a boundary, and essentially what you'd be doing is holding a boundary, is it's not about shutting people out, it's about letting people in. So whoever may be impacted by that 1 hour that you're taking for yourself, tell them, be really honest with them, bring it to your team. Say, listen, I'm doing this for myself. We can sometimes once a month. Why don't we do it as a team together and have that hour together? So actually be really open about it, because people respect boundaries when they understand them. And so I think actually it doesn't have to be overly complicated. I think coming to events like this, talking to people, we know the statistic, it's probably slightly out of date now, but something like 87% of new roles come through the hidden job market, which is your network, is talking to people, making time, prioritizing time to do that. So maybe one time your 2 till 3 could be having a coffee with someone. It doesn't always have to be this kind of draconian, at your desk. So I think simplifying the steps to change is really important to getting there.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Oh, I suppose the only thing to add is that going back to my concept of your career is your own business, when I got a board of directors for my career, it was transformational. So having a board, and I don't know, has anyone come across this concept of having a board of directors, your own personal board? Any hands? No? Maybe, yeah. Hey, please, this is alive, right? This is interactive. So the idea that you have a senior board, because you have peer groups, right? So we all have peer groups. We have girlfriends or friends who, you'd call and moan and talk about your career. But actually having a board of directors who can hold you accountable, who can challenge your thinking, who can ask you the hard questions, but also give you the advice. I remember when I was negotiating my salary, one of my board of directors said, make sure that number's got a 2 in front of it. I was just like, I can't, like all my limiting beliefs were that I cannot ask for that much money.
Yeah.
Right. And so somebody had to be like, absolutely ask for it. And they had to tell me that from a place of experience, because they've asked for that money, because they've earned that money. And so I remember that day I wrote the number, closed the laptop, and then in half an hour they came back and said yes. And then I thought, oh shit, I should have asked for more.
Absolutely.
but I would have never got that, because we can't do these things on our own. So I would have never got the idea. I would have probably asked for 10% more. Like that's like, oh wow, what, an extra 20 grand? Yeah, absolutely. But it was my board and a particular person who was like, you are worth more. You will bring more. And so then ask for more. And so I would say in a place where we're in this really challenging career, job market, surround yourself with a board that can help identify, your strengths, your weaknesses, your development areas, opportunities that you might be overlooking. Because we will always, and, it's a mixed room, so it's great to see some men in the room. But, as women, we will want to have 100% of the job done. The data tells us that, right? Whereas men might be like, 10%, yeah, I can do that. So, and actually I love that. I have a few, now in my business, I have a board of advisors, and my advisors who are men give me so much more strategic, ballsy advice that I'm like, I can't do that. And they're like, yeah, you can, because I would, So I suppose I don't want to go off on a tangent, but in these times when it feels hard, surround yourself with people who remind you who you are, whose you are, and kind of like what you can achieve.
Yeah.
Because it can feel hard, it can feel lonely, it can feel like a dead end. And so you need to be optimistic. You need to carve out the time to do the thinking, to do the deep work, but then also surround yourself with people who can reaffirm who you are.
Yeah.
I think Hannah and I were talking about her board of directors just before, and I think language is so important. The language that you use to yourself inside your head, and also the language you use externally about your career. So Hannah could have said, I have a suite of mentors and kind of sponsors. I mean, sponsors is a great word, as is mentors. Everything has their place. But the fact that she describes them as her board of directors has an impact on the perception of how you see her. And so I dug away a bit and was like, how often do you speak? Just found out. And at the end of the day, it's conversations. But it's so important that we use language that is justifies who we are and that we don't diminish ourselves. And I think we can. It's so easy to kind of lessen who we are. And I think that's, it shows up when we're negotiating salaries, new jobs, all sorts of things. But if we can start to practice using kind of self-promotional language and thinking about concepts that are more naturally fitting to a business and apply them to us as people, I think it's really important to help us to navigate change. And I don't think you have to be navigating change to do that, but I think it helps in terms of how you're perceived at work, and it prepares you for if a change comes along that's unexpected, you've kind of done that foundational work.
Yeah, one of my talks that I do is being the CEO of your career and really helping people to see the parallels, because there's so much parallel between you as an individual putting yourself out there and marketing yourself and making sure you're managing your finances and making sure that you're thinking about selling yourself. So I think it's important for people to take the time to see the parallels and go up to that board level. And when you were just sharing there about someone on your board saying, no, you can go for it, it made me think about the power of borrowing belief, because you might not believe it yourself. But sometimes you need to borrow that belief from someone else until you're in the space where you can actually believe it and stand on it and move forward. And when we think about beliefs, often we talk about action, but before the action comes what's in your mind, what are the thoughts that you have, what are the beliefs that you have. So when you think about some of the big, bold moves that you've made, what beliefs did you either have to put down or pick up in order for you to move forward? Because I know for me, I remember when I was thinking about doing a TEDx talk, and I was watching with my husband, we were watching TEDx talks in the evening, as you do after you put the kids to bed. And I was kind of like, I'd love to do that one day. And it was really like a throwaway comment. And he just turned to me and said, why not you? Why not? And I was like, actually, why not? And literally after that, I went and I researched what needs to happen. And from the time I had that conversation, 2 years later, I stood on the red dot and did my TEDx. But had he not challenged my thinking in that moment, I still would have been like, one day I'd love to do that. Right? So it's like, what beliefs do we have to, or what beliefs have you had to really challenge and say, is that actually true though? Because sometimes we take things and we're like, yeah, I can't do that. But really?
So for me, the big one that I'm dealing with right now, so this is like real life, live and direct, is that my identity is not tied to my corporate title. So I was made redundant this year. I feel like I'm in an AA. I am Hannah, I was made redundant. And there's growth, because I can't believe I just said that. But no, I was made redundant this year, and it was a shock to my system. 20-year corporate career, I was just like, who am I? And for a long time, I was like, wow, I am nobody, nothing. Where's the big corporate global head, group head, partner? Like all of the things that I thought were completely attached to who I am, my identity. I had to unlearn that you are more than any corporate title. Right. And I had to go deep in digging and find it. And I didn't believe it for time, so this happened to me in April. I didn't believe that I was more than my corporate title. I would feel so ashamed. I would feel like I just felt like I just didn't have identity. And so I had to go and do the deep work. I had to go to therapy. I had to speak to my coaches, I had to go back to my board and say, look, I am really struggling without this big corporate title. And they were like, but the corporate title isn't what got you to where you are. Actually, it was all the things that make you who you are. It's your brand. It's how you show up. It's how you deliver. It's that you deliver with excellence. It's all these things. And so I really had to unlearn that, because even when they were telling me, I was like, yeah, okay, well, like you said, times, right? Whenever I would come into a room and say I work for Barclays, or if I'd walk into a room and say I'm a partner in a firm, that carries different than saying I'm Hannah. Now, I was saying this to you before, one thing I really appreciate is that I've been building my brand for about 6 years. And I remember having several conversations in my corporate jobs where they were like, yeah, you're posting quite a lot. I was like, yeah, boy, we better just love it, because
I'm doing it anyway.
I'd always be sensible. I'd always speak to media relations. I'd always make someone on the right side of the law. But I was like, this is my voice. It's who I am. It's what I believe in. This is what I'm going to post. So I built my brand whilst in my corporate job. And so for me, I am much more than a corporate role. Like I'm Hannah Awonuga on its own as and its own brand. So yeah, that was one of the things, and I'm still going through it now. To be honest, like now I've picked up this new title of founder. Like who am I? And so, I'm kind of exploring what that looks like, and that feels exciting, and I'm building something and that feels exciting. But it was, and I don't know for any of you who've been in a corporate role, it was really hard to detach myself from my corporate job.
Yeah.
Like,
I can
really hard.
totally relate to that. So I was a corporate lawyer and then an in-house lawyer. And then I was doing both for a long time, maybe about 5 years. And then in lockdown, it all came to a head when I had also 2 children running around trying to do Zoom and homeschool and all of that. So then I decided to go all in the business. And at first it was like, oh, great, full time. And I remember it was maybe about a year in, and my friend called me and she was like, what's up? I was like, it's all right. I just had my Monday morning cry. She's like, Monday morning cry? How often are you having these cries? I'm like, actually, every Monday for about 2 months. And then I was like, what is actually going on? And what I realized is I didn't know, like, what is my title now? Am I a podcaster? Am I a coach? Am I a business owner? Because I'm no longer saying I'm a lawyer. And before you say to someone you're a lawyer, they're like, oh, you're a lawyer. And now it's like, I don't even know what I'm. Yeah. So when you're saying about identity, it is, but it wasn't until I did that detach of like who I am and what I do is 2 different things. And I have to lean into that. So then whatever I do, doesn't matter. I'm still me.
Yeah.
I show up in different places, but I'm still me. But that's a process. And it does take a mindset shift to say, with or without the title, like I can still show up.
I really believe that you should build a career around your purpose as opposed to building careers for jobs. Jobs now I know can go. I don't know if Barclays would have done that to me, but anyway. So, now I know that jobs can come and go. 1 minute you're the favorite, and they paraded me around like I was the favorite, right? And then next minute, all of a sudden, you're no longer the flavor of the month. But I have been consistent with my voice. People know me for inclusion. That has always been consistent. That will always be what people know me for. And so, like, what is that for you? Like, what do people know you for outside of your corporate title? Is it inclusion? Is it culture? Is it accounting? Is it creative? Like you need to be more. And so when I realized that actually my purpose is to inspire, to motivate, to support, people that don't have the voice, it was less about the job. It's now less about the job, right? And so, yeah, I think it's just really important to explore yourself in your widest capacity. And then the job is one facet.
Yeah.
Right? So if the job goes, actually, there's all these other things here.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And Alice, I know that you have worked with lots of women as a coach, and then now with Allbright, you design the curriculum. I get to do some of the masterclasses, which is fantastic. What is the biggest mistake that you see women make? Because I know there are patterns in terms of how people are either thinking, mindset, showing up. What have you noticed?
Okay, I'm going to flip your question.
Flip it.
Because I don't think we need to know more about our mistakes. And actually, when you were talking about self-belief and things like that, I was just reflecting on my career and thinking, I actually don't struggle with self-belief. It's not a thing that I do actually in my parenting, but that's where my weaknesses show up more. But I mean, I've got teenagers and a 5-year-old, so I'm stretched all over the place on that front and making mistakes left, right and centre. But in my career, I think... So I was kind of tripping through maybe why I don't struggle as much anymore. And I think I was at the Times for 10 years. Then I did a couple of maternity covers and short kind of stints and stuff. So I got used to quite early in my career that kind of change and that kind of pace change, I think. And then setting up my own business is, it's a shit show. There's just no two ways about it. And it's extremely confronting. So I think I did a lot of that stuff and made mistakes and so I think I kind of have come out the other side and actually kind of found something. So I feel quite secure in that. But I was trying to think what else helped me. And it was actually showing up with other women in the room, which became my superpower. Actually, one of them's here. She used to turn up at my sessions and stuff. But as did you, Janine, obviously, as well. But I think it was the regular, so also interesting around lockdown. So I used to run programs, do one-to-one coaching, all of that good stuff. And then in lockdown, on about day 2, I was washing up, something I don't love doing, and thinking, oh my God, I had this kind of light bulb moment where I thought this is going to be terrible for women. Like I could just see all of my amazing career women friends in their kitchens washing up and thinking, how am I going to make this work for me, for them? And so I started a virtual co-working twice a week where you could just show up on a Tuesday and a Thursday for half a day, I think we did it from 9 till 12 or something. And it just became this space where you could be with other women, and we would do, it was kind of based on the Pomodoro. So you do 40 minutes of work, 10 minutes of coming together, and you turn your videos off. But it was just the constant conversation and the constant support. And you never knew who would show up. You'd always have different types of conversation, but it really kind of embedded in me the importance of connecting to other people. I'm a people person, so I suppose I'm saying that through the prism of that fact. And maybe not everyone is a people person, but I think what I have lived alongside other women has helped me to have greater self-belief, because I think we all make mistakes. You know, we all have that insecure voice. We all struggle with different things. But I think outwardly we're seen very differently than how we see ourselves, of course. And I think, you know, we're all so similar. And if we can share more, and obviously that's what the podcast does, I think it really, and you can be open to that and you can accept it as well. I think there's something so powerful. So I think when women connect and when they make the time to be honest and vulnerable and show up for each other, amazing things happen. And even if that's just seeing your own truths, I think that's such a solid foundation to build from.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need to vent and hear someone else say, me too.
Yeah.
It's talking about parenting. Like right now, I feel like I'm in the twilight zone.
Yeah.
But being able to speak to other people and them saying, no, I'm also experiencing that, and I'm also not, I haven't got it all together. It helps so much. So I think
wait till
totally
they turn
right.
teenagers, Janine.
Oh, we're in preteens though.
You are, but
I feel like we're already getting. Oh,
it's different.
I can't.
Teenagers.
I can't cope now, so I don't know. But I'll be coming to you when I get there.
Oh, I'm still figuring it out.
But yeah, I think you're totally right. And if you don't have those people in your circle, I think it's important to cultivate it, right? I think it's important to sometimes be that person who initiates. I have a friend in the room, I won't call her out, but I remember when I first started working, I used to work at the insolvency service back in the day, and she was like, oh, hi, do you want to come to lunch? And I was like, yeah. And then the next day, do you want to come to lunch? Come on. And at first I was like, why does this girl keep asking me to lunch? But she did. And we went. And then my other friend came. And then we created this amazing bond as friends, but also we support each other. So when I didn't know how to do something, I would be able to call on them. Or if I wasn't unsure, I'd be able to just, check in. And it made such a difference in terms of my experience. So I think sometimes you have to be vulnerable and be willing to be the person to invite the person to lunch, or to, raise your hand or organize a co-working or organize something so that you can create the community that you need and that you desire.
Amazing.
Yeah. I part of the reason why I asked you both to come on is because I know that you've both been through transitions recently and going through them. And I'd love for you to talk a bit about what you're excited about. What's 2026 looking like, or what do you hope it's looking like? What's on the horizon?
So as I've told you, this year's been a bit of a shit show. And I lost my mum as well. Yeah. And so I'm still kind of dealing with that. So I'm looking forward to next year, but also not. I feel like I'm leaving somebody behind. So I've called this year, the year of reconstruction.
Ooh.
I feel like God has broken me down to reconstruct me, right? And so I'm excited to see what that reconstruction brings and births. I am building a business, and I'm not building a one-man business. I'm building a business that I will sell one day for millions of pounds. And so I have a very clear vision of what I want to do and how I want to do that. And so, next year will be about building and growing and reconstructing, and so I'm looking forward to that. but I never want to give the false impression that, you know, everything's hunky dory and I'm still figuring it out. I'm still in therapy. I'm still, you know, like I'm not looking forward to Christmas. If you've lost someone, you know that the first Christmas is almost like, how can you celebrate? But I'm also writing a book. I've just got a publishing deal, so I'm really excited. Yeah, do you know what? You know, and I'm a Christian, right? So I'm really navigating grief and gratitude. How do you hold space for both things? How do you hold space for the grief, but whilst also being really grateful for the things that are happening, starting a business and, you know, writing this book? And so the book is called The Illusion of Inclusion. And the idea is that unpicking that this illusion that, oh yeah, we live in an inclusive society. We absolutely don't. And so I want to unearth that through my story, through stories of others. So, you know, working with Harriman House, that's really exciting. They wrote the Psychology of Money, so, you know, really good publisher. So I'm looking forward to going on that journey. Um, and I know I feel like I put the tone down. I'm really sorry, but
That's okay.
yeah, but the excitement is in the reconstruction. I don't really know what that would look like, but I know that I will be building a really awesome business. So that's exciting.
Yeah, love it.
So I joined Allbright 18 months ago in a different position. Kind of, it's been a roller coaster for the business recently, but personally, I've had like an amazing experience here. I've kind of had a big promotion, so I'm excited to continue on that. But actually, what's been really unexpected is that I've been gifted my old career back as a journalist, because I'm now kind of although I think it is going to come into my title, editor-in-chief of our soon-to-be launched website. So suddenly I'm finding myself commissioning old friends, going out, kind of using my creative kind of side, really leaning into all of the stuff that was part of who I was. And actually something I was going to say when you guys were talking about, you know, I was a lawyer and now I'm this, is that I feel very strongly that you remain all the things that you have been.
100%.
And it's really playing out that I've always felt like a journalist. I'm a word person. I actually used to hate getting up in front of people and talking, but if you put me in front of a laptop, I'm kind of as happy as anything. And so I am refinding that side of myself and realizing that it was maybe dormant for a while, but actually it's completely there. And that just because you close a door doesn't mean it's shut forever. Obviously, it's not shut anyway because you're pulling so many skills and experience and wisdom through. But actually, the skill of what I'm doing is coming back. And I realize that I can just pick, not just because, you know, things are harder than they say, but I can pick it up again. And so I'm really excited I'm not letting go of the learning stuff. So I have a very busy life for 2026. But I'm really excited to kind of be able to hold journalism and learning at the same time, which is something I never thought I'd be able to do. And actually create, you know, Allbright really recognises the power of creating this kind of website that's going to be the beating heart of everything that we do, and how it kind of flows through all of the business and drives revenue and builds community and all of those good things. So it's great to be doing that. So that's basically all of my 2026 in one sentence. I'm definitely going to have a couple of holidays.
Full circle. I think it's beautiful to really think about the fact that we are who we are wherever we go, and the skills that we develop and the experience that we have, we get to use it. So I think for anyone who's thinking about transitioning, just recognize that nothing is wasted. Whatever you've done on your journey before, you get to use it going forward. The connections, the understanding, the exposure, you get to use it. And I will say, I will always be a lawyer. When you think about the fact that our brains aren't fully formed till we're 25, when you do your training, you're really young. So that's when things really get embedded. So I think whatever your career was when you first started, it's always going to influence where you go next. So where can people find you if they want to learn more about you? I know LinkedIn, Hannah.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah,
That's where I found you.
Yeah. So, find me on LinkedIn, connect with me, message me. You know, I'm really intentional about relationships. I can't get through all my messages, but I do like to build connections. So that's where you can find me.
Awesome.
And you can find me on LinkedIn. I don't have 80,000 followers, so I might actually get back to you. Or you can find me in here. Generally, I sit at a desk around there, or somewhere else in this amazing building. Or you can just find me through Janine because she's got my email address.
Yes. So, ladies, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to share your incredible journeys with us. I feel even more inspired, even though I knew your journeys before. I'm sure everyone else here feels inspired also. And yeah, this is a special moment, 300 episodes. And we started back in... Started back in 2017. There's a picture on there with me and my son. I was on maternity leave and I just started my business thinking, I'm on maternity leave, I have time, what should I do? My first business coach said I need to release regular content. I started a blog that didn't go very well because it just took too long and I like to talk. So I was like, hey, I can podcast because I can just talk. And back then, never would I have thought I would be here still doing this. But part of the reason why I do it is because I get to speak to amazing people and also support people through the podcast. So there are women in this room who found me because of the podcast. They listened to the podcast. Some of them became clients. Some of them have come back and been on the podcast. And it's just been an incredible platform to be able to not only connect with amazing people, but also just share and support people on their career development journey. So I'm grateful for you all being here, being able to celebrate today. And yeah, just thank you for being part of it. So thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed listening to that as much as we enjoyed recording it. It was an incredible experience to record this episode live. I want to say thank you for listening. Whether this is the first episode you've listened to or you've listened to lots of episodes over the years, I appreciate you taking the time to be here, to listen and to support the work that we do. I would love to hear your biggest takeaways. So do connect with me over on Instagram or on LinkedIn and let me know what your biggest takeaway has been from this episode. And if you are in a season where you are mapping out your 2026, but you're not quite sure what you want it to look like, then I will invite you to book a call with me. I am a career strategist and an executive coach, and I support mid to senior level women who are looking to make a transition into a more meaningful and impactful career. So if that sounds like you and you want to explore working together, then do go and book a call with me. The link is in the show notes. And if you want to connect with Alice and Hannah, you will also find the links to their LinkedIn profiles in the show notes as well. That is all for today. Until our next episode, till we talk again, look after yourself and keep moving towards your career goals.